My parents say that my fiance's infidelity with my sister is God's plan, but when the family business fails, I tell them it's also God's plan, and then I cut ties. I thought I had already dealt with my struggles, but here I am again faced with a tough decision. I don't want to be one of those strong warriors this year. I'm exhausted. I just want peace and to forget all the pain and suffering that I've had to endure. Unfortunately, my past found me, and now I'm facing a complicated decision. If someone had presented me with this situation a few months ago, it would have been easy. I wouldn't have helped the struggling family business. I would have said, to hell with that legacy. But now I'm in my sensitive girl era. Everything is going well for me, and I don't have space for pain or resentment. Part of me feels bad for what they're going through, but then again, what about how I felt months ago? Where's the responsibility for that? It should be easy to say no, yet I can't help but think if the family business disappears, my grandparents' legacy will too. I have the chance to save what they built and left for me. So why let my feelings toward my parents get in the way of that? You're probably wondering what they did to deserve this. Well, let me take you back 2 years. I was at my highest happiness marrying someone who made me feel amazing and whom I thought was the one. My parents introduced us, and at first I didn't want anything to do with him. I didn't care that a union with him would strengthen our family. In fact, I suggested he meet my little sister, Melody. However, after spending just a year with Clark, everything changed. He proposed, and we set a date. He wanted me to be a housewife, so I left my master's program and started house hunting. I know, it was foolish of me, but I was blinded by love. For months, he made me feel like my knight in shining armor, thanking my parents for introducing us. I was raised with certain values that I always tried to uphold, but sadly, I compromised them during wedding week. That week was, no exaggeration, the worst of my life. We were watching something when he fell asleep, with his phone buzzing nonstop. I never checked his cell before, I swear. But that day, I felt the urge to do it. When I looked at the screen, I saw a message from my sister saying, "Make sure my sister doesn't find out about this." At first, I thought they were planning something as a surprise for me, so I decided to check his messages. I used his fingerprint to unlock it and started reading, and that's when my world fell apart. I found flirty texts from my fiancé to my sister, conversations where they planned to meet in secret. She told him she missed him and that it wasn't fair he spent so much time with me, emphasizing that he should make sure I was unaware. The messages were months old, and the worst was when he said he'd picked the wrong sister because I was too frigid. I even found videos and photos, some that made my stomach turn. After that, I kept exploring his phone, coming across a group chat with his friends. I thought, I'm already hurt. A little more won't make a difference. There he was boasting about how nice it was to always have my sister around, the more experienced one. He bragged that I was perfect for his image, and he always had access to my sister for things I obviously didn't give him. His friends cheered him on. One said, "Dude, you're lucky. 2 gorgeous sisters." Despite it being some sort of compliment, it sickened me. I couldn't take it anymore. I was furious and wanted answers. So I texted my sister from his phone, inviting her over. I jumped in the shower because I felt gross. Every time I looked at him sleeping, I imagined him laughing with his friends, and it made my body shiver with fear. Once I finished, I heard a knock on the door. My sister had arrived. I ignored her 1,000 questions and dragged her to the bedroom. Our commotion awakened Clark, the sleeping prince, who was not happy at all. I told him I knew everything and hurled the engagement ring at him. I hoped he would beg for mercy, but all he asked was if I was sure, declaring I'd be damaged goods after this fiasco. I told him I'd rather remain single than be with a jerk like him. As for Melody, she stood there wide-eyed, asking if I was planning to leave, assuming I didn't want to be engaged. Then they kicked me out. I ran to tell our mother everything. And do you know what she said? I needed to go back and apologize for returning the ring. The wedding was approaching, and it wouldn't look good for the family. Feeling as if she had lost her senses, I went to my father, and the man who always treated me like his princess said I was to blame, telling me that marriage is not a game and that I was naive. That's how my world shattered. My whole family turned against me. They pressured me to apologize to him and continue with the wedding, But deep down, I knew what happened was wrong. He wanted me to give up everything for him while he slept with my sister. He lied to me for months to avoid suspicion. I mean, even naive me knew something wasn't right. So, I called off the engagement and was disinherited because, for them, this wedding was part of what they had devised for my future. Before that, I stashed away some money and moved into the apartment my grandmother left me, the only place my father could not touch. I suffered much. My ex spread rumors about me, who I was after losing the protection of my family. What's worse, they announced his engagement to my sister 2 weeks after he ended things with me. My mother took it as part of God's plan. I was completely alone, isolated. The worst part was seeing their wedding months later on social media. It was perfect, everything I had dreamed of. I couldn't bear the looks of pity or judgment, so I left. 2 years have passed, and today my mother calls me. She says the company is collapsing, that my father is showing early signs of dementia, and they need me to return and lead the firm. Suddenly, they're desperate to do anything to get me back to avoid bankruptcy. I can hardly believe it. How can they approach me after discarding me like trash? On the other hand, I wonder if this is my moment of revenge, my chance to make the people who hurt me pay. I'm not sure how I'll do it yet, but I'm confident I'll come up with something. If there's one lesson I've learned in these 2 years, it's that I'm capable of way more than I ever imagined. I'll keep you updated. Update 1. It has been a month, and I visited my family. Why would I do that after everything they did to me? Well, I guess curiosity got the better of me. I suppose I wanted some sort of closure after the way they treated me. Before they could scold me, I have some burning gossip to share. It turns out that things aren't quite as they seemed. I've been chatting with my mother for the last few weeks, and she spilled everything. At first, I told her to leave me alone, but she insisted so much that I went along with her and wanted to see how far she'd take it. It turns out my father's health has been worsening over these 2 years so much that it definitely impacted the business. My mother has tried to intervene, but handling business isn't exactly her forte. My sister isn't an option at all. She's never even taken a business class, not that intelligence has ever crossed her mind. And her husband, well, he's busy with his own matters. But here's the kicker. What she doesn't know is that her wonderful husband is now broke. I heard through reliable rumors that his family financially disinherited him after what he did to me. Turns out, they were more decent than mine. Is there any chance we could swap? He has to fend for himself, but he's obviously failing miserably. They have been scraping by with my sister's allowance, but that's about to run out. My mother is entirely unaware, of course, and my source is dependable. It's a cousin from their family I'll call Liberty. Yes, it's not a coincidence. Liberty was the only person who cared about me after my engagement broke. We've spoken slightly in these 2 years, but I told her not to bring anything about my ex. However, once my mother came knocking on my door again, my curiosity got the best of me, and I asked for details about him and her marriage. As for why they haven't hired someone else to run the company, it's that my father trusts no one else and flat out refuses to. Though he isn't medically suited for leading, he still possesses certain rights. My mother's tried to involve lawyers to keep him from making decisions, but he's been blocking her. He only trusts me, and so all this responsibility now falls on my shoulders. How great. They are without options, and I'm their only chance of salvation. I've decided to help them, but only under one condition, that each of them sincerely apologizes for what they made me go through. Not just any apology. They must be genuine. If not, I won't lift a finger to help. That's just what they think. My revenge won't stop there, but they don't have to know that. Tomorrow I have a meeting with all of them. I just landed and I'm still exhausted from the flight, so I won't see them today. My mother has the mission of informing my sister that I'm in town and that she needs to apologize to me. If she doesn't, they'll all be finished. I never thought power would feel this good. I think I could get used to this. I enjoy watching how they squirm, knowing I am their best hope for saving the company. My track record from these 2 years speaks for itself, and they should be grateful that I'm not making them kneel while I accept their apologies. I can't wait for the look on their faces when they have to apologize for hurting me and ruining my reputation. They truly thought I was out of their lives permanently, that they'd never need me again for anything. But karma has been quietly working behind the scenes, waiting for the right moment for my comeback. I'm still contemplating how I'm going to make Clark and Melody suffer, now that I ironically get to be the one keeping this family together. At least I know I won't be supporting them. Update 2-3 full months have passed. Honestly, these past 3 months have been the most entertaining I've had in a while. It all started the night my sister had to apologize for betraying me. I swear, she looked like she'd rather jump off a bridge than ask me for forgiveness. But she had no choice. Melody knew that if I didn't save the business, all her comforts would disappear, and she'd revert to being an ordinary girl. In fact, she would be worse off than an ordinary girl because she has no real-life skills. I doubt she would have survived like I did after I left town. When I left, I went all in on my education and started a master's program. At the same time, I landed a job in my field, and not only did I do well, but I did better than ever. I was totally motivated to show I was more than a fiancé or my parents' daughter. Would you believe me if I told you that less than 6 months after joining the company, I got promoted? My boss retired, and she was so impressed with me that she personally recommended me as her replacement. Sure, it came with plenty of doubts from colleagues and my own imposter syndrome, but I eventually finished that year on top with my master's degree in hand, proving I was the best fit for the position. My performance review made everything clear and silenced any doubts about me. What I mean is that my sister never could have accomplished anything like I did. She falls short of me, and I won't deny it. I savored every moment watching her beg for forgiveness. As for my parents, they didn't waste a second to apologize to me. They seemed desperate for me to accept the CEO position. In these past 3 months, I've been ridiculously busy doing what needed to be done. I've also been forced to attend an endless amount of events. As the CEO and public face of the company, my parents have been dragging me to every gala they could find. Speaking of Clark, can you believe he had the nerve to try to be nice to me? He complimented me and said the CEO role suits me well, and this comes from the same man who made me abandon my master's when I was almost done. Those comments, although cloaked in respect, annoyed me more and more. Of course, I could have dismissed him and found some satisfaction in that, but I had other even more fulfilling plans for him. Although he pretends to admire me, he still overestimates the power he thinks he has over me. So gradually, I began leaving the door a bit cracked, and now we even converse with some intimacy. And yeah, true to the rumors, he's broke, so I was straightforward with him. I suggested that I might help him financially in exchange for him meeting me at a specific hotel, and you know what? He didn't hesitate for 2 seconds. He eagerly accepted the proposal of cheating on my sister for money without a second thought, making even clearer what a scumbag he is. In a couple of hours, we're going to meet at that hotel. He thinks I'm going to hand him money for him to touch me, bed me, or any other romantic notions he believes I hold. Poor fool, the only thing that will be touching him is karma, and I don't think he'll enjoy the little surprise coming his way. I mean it super literally. I'm not going to kill him and feed his corpse to crocodiles or anything, figuratively way more drama. I can't believe he thinks I'm dumb enough to let him put his hands on me. There's not enough soap in the world to wash myself clean after that. I'd feel horrible. It would be like being with my sister. I'd never be with anyone who has been with her. You must be disgusting to think that. Well, my sister doesn't care. I suppose she enjoys a little dirtiness in her life. So update 3. About 3 weeks have passed. They thought I was a weak girl, a savior who would run to save them when their card house fell apart, figuring they could discard me and come back for me when they needed something. Well, guess what? The day finally came. I told him exactly when and where to meet me at the hotel, and even gave him instructions on how to greet me. What he didn't know was that I wasn't coming alone. Earlier that day, I called my sister, inviting her to the hotel spa, playing the sisterly card to fix our broken relationship. Of course, she suspected my sudden gesture and tried to refuse, but I sweetened the deal with an enticing incentive. Afterwards, we could go shopping and I'd pay for everything. That's when she lost all sense. Money and shopping make her vulnerable. I remember when I was like that, when I would fall for material possessions and think they were tokens of affection. What naivete on my part, but life healed me of that. Now, I can buy those items for myself. The same items Clark used in luring me. Sorry for getting sidetracked. I perfectly timed it so my sister would accompany me to the hotel room, supposedly forgetting my key card. When she opened the door, she found her husband in bed with a rose in his mouth, whipped cream in place where you can imagine. I had seen it in a movie, and just thinking about it amused me. I placed my items on the bed and insisted she joke with it. I didn't really expect her to go along, but like the complete fool he is, he did. Apparently, he was willing to do whatever I said. I should have made bolder requests. It was a brutal déjà vu. Once again, he was caught with my sister, but this time the roles were reversed. Melody froze and shot back. What the hell are you doing here? And why in the world do you have whipped cream on your dindalim? Apparently, this was her affectionate nickname for that area. The funniest part of my plan was knowing how things might escalate between them, so that was not my actual room. My room was on a separate floor. That room was booked by my ex, and I had him leave an access key at the reception, which I picked up earlier. They completely wrecked the place, but I didn't stick around to witness it. I went to the hotel bar to have a drink while they argued about their relationship loudly, accompanied by more than a hint of violence. Just a rumor, but Dindaline also felt a pinch of that violence. And while the reception refused to divulge info for privacy, I also caught wind that the hotel room destructed cost over $5,000. I think it's a $200 room by standard rent, so that hurt my ex's credit card considerably. If I were his buddy, I'd tell him to stop thinking with his Dindalin, you know? There's hard proof he may well be going to the hospital afterward, and yes, the rumor involves blood and whipped cream caught up in there. Just like the hotel respects customer privacy, so does the hospital. But I wouldn't wager on that unverifiable source rumor, as that train hasn't gone off the tracks yet. Update 4, first of all. I'm sorry I completely disappeared and probably left you all worried. No, I'm not in jail. I'm doing just fine. It just wasn't the right time to post an update. So the first thing I want to say is I'm sorry. I could have explained a little more in my last post. The truth is, I already knew chaos was coming at the company, but I couldn't say much. My mom and dad didn't know, but my sister and Mr. Dindaline, as you've called him in the comments, might have read it. But now I can be honest with you, and here's the truth. I was never in that company to save it. I was there to sink it. Around the time my mom got in touch with me, I was already thinking about my plan to ruin them. Come on. Only my parents believed I was going to come back and forgive everything for this great opportunity to join the family business. Great for me, yes. To destroy them from the inside. And I actually thanked my father for that opportunity. Since I took the position, my father's health has gotten a lot worse, so I don't know how much he understood of my thanks. And if I'm being honest with you, I haven't had to do much for this part of my revenge. I just did my job as badly as possible and let the company keep going down the path it was already on, until it was impossible to keep it open. As CEO, I handled selling off everything and making sure the workers were paid. What was left was a $2,500 check, which I gave to my mom. With my dad's illness getting worse and my mom having no idea what to do with the company, I got the power to take over. But like I said, I can't take full credit for this revenge. I don't think I could have saved the company even if I wanted to. Maybe I could have stabilized it just enough so my parents would get more money from the sale, maybe. But would I have wanted to? They're not broke and they hate me for that. In fact, they despise me. The last time my mom called me to say something, I just told her maybe this is God's plan and hung up. Let them join the long line of people who hate me and want to see me fall. That line now includes my sister, too. I didn't know she was pregnant when I exposed her husband for cheating. I swear she never told me anything. If I had known, I probably wouldn't have done it that way. Knowing violence could have been involved. Luckily, the baby survived, but the pregnancy became high risk. According to my ex, she hated him so much after that she asked for a divorce and didn't let him see the baby. She won the case. He doesn't have custody. He hates me with everything he's got because of it. But I told him to look in the mirror and blame himself. This man, so childish, was completely furious about everything. How do I sleep at night? With a smile on my face and a whole lot of satisfaction. I don't think I've slept this well in years. Update 5 people have been asking me a lot for an update about my family, even though I don't really know them by that name, and also about Mr. Dindaline. So here's what's happened these past few months since the radioactivity from my nuclear bomb started to go down. Though, of course, radioactivity can last for many years. My dad, I know he's been really sick, so my mom took him to a care center. It's too much responsibility for her, especially now that she also had to find a job to support herself. At least she visits him, but my sister hasn't gone to see him even once. She says she has too much on her plate raising her son, so that's sad for my dad. He only has one daughter, and even she doesn't visit. No, I didn't get it wrong. He has only one daughter. My mom had to find a job after years of being used to just being a housewife and not much else. I warned her when I gave her the check not to spend it all in one place, but she didn't. $2,500 could have lasted a long time if she knew how to manage it well. I'm joking, but still, she should be thankful I got that for her. It could have been even less. Being ungrateful isn't good. As for my sister, she's a single mom who also had to find work because her ex-husband still doesn't have a job to be able to pay child support. Being the one cheated on with your sister is already pretty painful, but having a kid with a Dindaline, I think that's even worse. And, yes, everyone who needed to know already knows the name she gave to the thinking head of my ex. My ex knows that as soon as he gets a job, my sister will be all over him like she was all over his Dindaline. Now, some people think his Dindaline might not be working quite right anymore. I choose to believe that too because I'm not going to try to find out. As for me, I've gotten my life back after putting it on hold to carry out God's plan. It's not like those plans execute themselves. They need at least a little push.